Hello and welcome back. Today's gonna be a fun one, as long as I can pull it off. We need to pull this out of hibernation. This is a KX125 mid-engine rear-wheel drive Birel racing cart. We've got a local event going on a few miles away from me where they're closing a street down and having a drag race. And I would like to try to take this and do a couple of runs with it. Let's see if we can get that done. This is what I affectionately call the SlowKart. This was the first actual fabrication job I ever did on anything. Lengthened the frame about a foot there. Traditionally, these carts have a motor plate right here, and you've got a big old motor hanging off the side. I don't like having that much weight next to me, as well as having hot things right next to me. So I lengthened this about a foot, and then I mounted the engine behind the seat and in front of the axle, so it was mid-engine. There's a lot of things that I really love about this, and a lot of things that I can tell I was just getting into fabrication that I would like to modify. For example, I welded all of this up with 110 MIG with gas. Some of the welds I just didn't do good enough apparently, because this rattled off. It is Thursday, midday, and this Saturday is when the drag races are. We're just trying to get this running. It's been out of commission for a while. We're gonna try to get this running. We're gonna get some things torn off of it because we don't need lights, we don't need batteries. I don't like that setup. That's part of what I'm not a fan of. And this thing also needs brakes. The last brake caliper that I modified and put on here blew up, and I didn't want to rebuild it, so I just took it all the way off. See if we can hit the races on Saturday. All right, we're gonna start by picking it up, getting it up in the air a little bit so it's easier to work on. And then I'm gonna strip the entire electrical system off of it because I do not want it. quite a lot of progress here. Built a bar This doubles as both a brace to brace this section of the frame and this section of the frame, and a thing to hold the gas tank up vertically so that the fuel port is above the carburetor inlet. We're just going to gravity fed. I had an entire electrical system on here so that I could run lights. And I was like, yeah, I'll just use a little clickety-clack fuel pump with a fuel regulator, and that was just a nightmare. But for now, we're going back to good old gravity fed. It's a dirt bike engine. That's what it's used to. What we're gonna do now is lift the entire go-kart frame up sideways and do a bunch of welds underneath. There were a bunch of welds that I did with my 110 MIG welder back in the day for the extension that I just wanted to run a hot pass over, just to make sure everything had good penetration. Okay, before we do a fuel system, I want to paint. Before we paint, I want to figure out a new brake caliper. First thing we're going to do today is get some paint on all that exposed metal. Alright, we have the entire fuel system done. Got clamps on everything. Got that needle valve in line so I can shut the fuel off. I had to replace the O-rings on the sight glass as well. Next, we're going to put the hubs and figure out what we're using for our tires so that we can set this on the ground and get it running. to set this thing on the ground, throw some fuel in it, and then try to get it running. It's pretty late on Friday. Tomorrow at 9:45 is when the races start, and I haven't even had this thing running in about 3 years. Let's see if we can get it going. See what the hell happens. Not seeing any leaks, which is good. Actually, we're leaking from somewhere else. Well, let's open the needle valve and see what starts leaking next, eh? When I designed this, I didn't fully think through the fact that you should be able to kick this down like a whole nother 2 inches. We're gonna throw the original NGK spark plug back in. Wire brushed it off a little bit and I've got it closed some. It was at 0.045 instead of 0.030, which I don't think would have caused us to not start, but definitely be doing something. Well, she's looking pretty grim, like we might not be going to the drag strip tomorrow. It started having a hard start issue last time that I drove it, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But we're gonna do a compression test and see if that's at all the case or if this engine is just so clapped that it needs a rebuild. See how the compression tests first, and we'll go from there. Yeah, see, we're still only at like 100 psi. Definitely bumped the compression a little bit, but before I give up on it tonight and go start looking into rebuild kits and how reed valves work exactly, I'm gonna pull my compression tester back out of here, throw the spark plug back in now that I put some oil down the cylinder, see if just the rings were enough to cause no start. Alright, let's get a spark plug back in there, see what it does. Hopefully that was enough to get it running, so if it's running and we can get some heat into it, I'll feed it a little bit of water and try to break the rings up, try to steam clean the inside. Usually 2-strokes are pretty clean on the inside though, because of the oil, so I wouldn't imagine that that's an issue, but... Okay, take number this one. Choke is moving. Okay, compression is the issue. Huh. No doubt in my mind, that's the coolest thing I've ever built. We're leaking a bunch of fuel, which means our float is stuck. And that's all we're doing to it, and now we're gonna ignore it. We will fix it, but she's the next day out. It is the day of the races. It's 8 o'clock right now, and at 9 o'clock is when they start. I need to get a plug in that, load this thing up, and head there. I'd like to deal with the carburetor, but that's probably going to happen on the tailgate at the race. My top speed is 55 miles an hour on this, so I guarantee I'm not winning anything. I just want to go down and use the test and tune as an actual test and tune so that I can figure out what I want to do for my rear gear for later on. There's another drag event that's probably 40 miles away from me that is happening multiple times this summer. The one that's in town close to me is not a very common thing, so I figured if I can, then I'll use it as a test and tune. We made it here. I have a couple things I need to do to the go-kart. The needle and seat isn't sealing, so I need to pull the bottom off the carburetor, get that to seal. And I think I'm gonna add a little bit more oil back to the cylinder, and then we'll do a little test. I just went and had the driver's meeting. I paid the $40 for test and tune, and we will be after all 3 classes of races. I've got some time to do a test and tune on this road over here and make sure that the go-kart is running well before I go take it down a track. boring footage of watching me kick on this cart for hours on end. What ended up happening was I went up, I got it running on the trailer, I took it off of the trailer, and then I could not seem to get it running. So I worked on it for around 3 hours, exactly where you see me now. I got it running one time and took it down the street, and it died on me on my way back, and I seemed to have lost spark by this point. So I passed tech, I paid to enter the race, but I was not able to run. Well, today marks a grim day for all racers worldwide. The SlowKart did not get to go down the strip. It was this close. You know, it's a sad day when you're pulling away from the drag strip with the machine you intended on racing in tow, and you didn't even get to make a pass. I made a $40 donation to their cause, so that's cool. I just ended up having too many issues with the SlowKart to be able to make a run. With the way that the track is set up, there's no byways to get back either, so you gotta wait at the end of the track until everybody's made their passes and then come back, which I was worried about then, you know, if the cart died, not being able to start it at the end of the track. It also gives me a really good starting point for parts that I need to order and things that I need to diagnose on that machine before I take it to the next drag event. This event that I just was at, I only heard about it 2 days ago and tried to pull this out of hibernation and get it running well enough that I could take it down the strip. I was going to be at my top speed about halfway down the track and then just banging it off rev limiter at 55 miles an hour. So I can change some gearing. I need to figure out what was going on with spark, and then probably just an entire rebuild kit. In conclusion, no, we weren't able to pull the KX125 SlowKart out of hibernation and go to a race in a matter of 2 days. We did get a whole lot of work done on it, and now you guys know about its existence, so if you liked this, then let me know and I will surely make more content with it. I'm probably going to make more content with it anyway, but let me know, please. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and comment something about your experiences with two-strokes and how sometimes they're unreliable pieces of shit. And remember, don't let your meat loaf.